What's up, beautiful people? It's your girl Tanisha coming to you again. How are you doing? Good. I'm glad. I really am. Look, I just thought that I would drop by and drop something in your spirit. I am in this group on Facebook. Not really on Facebook a lot, but every once in a while I check in with these groups, right? And it's one group in particular where the girls kind of let it be known what's going on in their relationship. And I hear some really wild stories about relationships. And they typically come from, younger females. So I thought that it would be a good idea for me as an older female to jump on and just share with you when you know it's time to let it go. When you know it's time to let it go. A lot of times we as women don't really know when it's time to let it go. And we stick and stay in relationships for longer than we should. We waste our youthful years. We waste our pretty skin. We waste a lot of time, effort, and energy in a relationship that we should have already let go. So I'm going to give you some tips when to know it's time to let it go. Now, some of these are going to be obvious, and some of these are going to be not so obvious. And so you're probably like, well, how do you know? Well, let's just say I've let go enough relationships to kind of give you an idea. Not saying that I'm the guru and the be-all, end-all of this particular information, but I would like to think that over, my lifespan that I've learned a lot. And just by dealing with a lot of women in my field of business, I'm going to say step one, or number one reason you should let someone go is if they're abusing you. Not only just physical abuse, because it's obvious that if somebody's going upside your head, you definitely want to get out of that relationship because that's not a safe relationship. And ultimately, you can pay the ultimate price, which is your life. But also mental abuse, emotional abuse. For example, a person may, if they get into an argument with you, they may not call you or talk to you for a couple days, or use money to make you do things or make you stop doing things, or use material items to make you do things or make you stop doing things, or sometimes manipulate you with sex or things of that nature. Like, some women do this, some men do this. I'm not going to have sex with you because of this reason, this reason. So it's all a mental and emotional abuse, which sometimes is more destructive than physical abuse, because physical abuse, you can heal from it. But a lot of times emotional and mental abuse, some people don't heal from that, and they continuously take that into whatever relationship they go into next. So number one, abuse of any sort. You deserve someone who will not mistreat you, who will not abuse you, who will not insult you, who will not curse you out, who will not talk down to you, who will not degrade you, and who will not condescend you. And if that individual is unable to do that, then that's an individual who you need to limit his or her access to you. Period. If they can't appreciate who you are and what you are, then they need to find someone else to deal with. And it's just really that simple. Another reason why I feel like it's time, when it will be time to let a relationship go, is that, believe it or not, sometimes people just grow apart. And you know how they say, well, opposites attract. And that's true. Opposites do attract. Or sometimes opposites grow, and then ultimately one or both kind of get tired of the oppositeness. So, for example, if you're, a Christian, and, you're dating another person who's a Christian, but they're not necessarily really dedicated to the Christian walk, but you are. So you have to say to yourself, am I wanting to stay in this situation? Am I wanting to be with this individual? Am I wanting to continue with this individual and grow with this individual? Or do I want to go ahead and kind of let this situation go? You kind of got to ask yourself that question, because it happens, and that's what's called growing apart. And, or say for instance, you're a real ambitious individual. You want this out of life, you want that out of life, but the other individual doesn't necessarily want those things out of life. They're not really going, full speed ahead at life. They're just kind of just, moseying along. Whatever happens, happens. And sometimes that can be a turnoff for one of the other persons, because ultimately you get one life. And then when that life is over with, it's just like, that's kind of what it is. So there's some people out there who are like, I want to accomplish as much as possible, do for as many people as possible, and live the best life possible. And some people are just okay with just mediocre, and some people are okay with just, I just want to do the bare minimum and I'll be all right. And that can be a reason why. So basically your interests are too diverse. They're too diverse, and it kind of creates a wedge between you all. It kind of creates more dissension than it does cohesion. Does that make sense? So your interests are too many of them are too different. So for example, religion. Your religions are different. That could be a really big thing come when y'all decide to get serious about one another, because you're going to ultimately be raising, if one of them doesn't want to say, all right, I want to give up my religion to go with yours, then that's going to be a breeding ground for confusion. That's going to be a breeding ground for strife. That's going to be a breeding ground for arguments. So that's something that you really need to take into consideration. Is this person, do they match me in that thing, especially if that's a deal breaker for you? A lot of times people don't know what their deal breakers are. They just get into relationships and they're just like, okay, I'm in it, and I'm in it until I'm out of it. But you really need to take it upon yourself to consider, okay, what are my deal breakers? In other words, what are those things that I don't want to engage in or be a part of that, if they occur, I will walk away from this relationship? For me, one of my deal breakers is if you're a cheater. And that's pretty much most people. If you're a cheater. But not only that, even if you have cheating tendencies, like I may not have even caught you cheating. However, the way my life is set up, I really just think that God reveals things to me and shows me things for a reason and for a purpose, for me to make an intelligent decision. But a lot of women out here are just in relationships and they've been shown things. He's disrespectful. You've seen other women's telephone numbers, other women's pictures, other women have called you. You've seen every bit of evidence that you need in order to make an intelligent decision, but yet you're still afraid to make an intelligent decision. So another one, a third one, would be the respect level is just not there. The disrespect is just not there. The respect is just not there. So what do I mean by disrespect? Your feelings are not taken into consideration. You're insulted. That's a big one with me. Don't insult me. We can have a discussion or a disagreement without you insulting me. And an individual who cannot have a discussion or a disagreement without insulting the other individual is very, very immature. Very, very immature. And you have to ask yourself, is that something that I want to have in my life? An individual that when things come up, they don't focus on the issue and how to solve the issue. They focus on insulting you or saying something derogatory towards you. Not the issue, not how can we solve this, not how can we get over this, but they have something derogatory to say to you. You have to take that into consideration, because again, like I said, abuse is definitely a reason for you to walk away from a situation. It is definitely a reason for you to walk away from a situation and not look back. Period. And I don't think people are saying that to women. Like they just say, you stick it out. You need to be a ride or die and all this other stuff. So basically what you're telling me is that I need to get beat up mentally, physically, verbally, in order for me to just prove how much I love an individual. There's nowhere in the world where it says that I need to do that in order to stay with you or be with you or have you in my life. Nowhere. And then another reason that I feel, you got to make sure that you're really compatible. Like, you can like the same things that that person likes, or you can enjoy doing certain things that that person likes to enjoy doing, but are y'all really compatible? That's my question. Are you all really compatible? So by compatible, what I mean is that you all have the same or similar thought processes about situations. So if an argument or an issue comes up, you all have the process of, okay, we're going to talk about it and we're going to iron it out. We're going to find out what the problem is and we're going to address the situation and get to the solution. That's compatibility. Or, when you're dealing with the individual can kind of read you, and you can kind of read the individual when things are going wrong, or when the individual is excited or happy about some things. So you got to ask yourself, am I really compatible with this person? Because my fear is that there's a lot of people getting into relationships and marriages just for the sake of saying I'm in a relationship and I'm married, and then you find yourself dissatisfied with the relationship or marriage, and then you find yourself either wanting to get out of it or break up, or just ultimately have a divorce. So I think you need to take these things into consideration before you even get into the relationship. That way you don't end up thinking or wondering, well, is it time to give it up? I've seen some young ladies, one young lady was telling a story about how she went over her boyfriend's house, and she's pregnant, and she had to sleep on the floor. He put her on the floor while he slept on the couch. And I'm thinking to myself, seriously, you're the woman, he's the man, you're pregnant, and he put you on the floor. He doesn't care anything about you. And sometimes I think we need people in our life to tell us, hey, he doesn't care much about you. He doesn't think very highly of you. Because we have, and then on top of that, when somebody tells us that, we need to learn to listen. I think a lot of times people end up hurt because we don't listen. We don't listen to the signs. We don't see the signs, or we don't heed the signs. We don't listen to the warnings. We don't listen to what the other person is saying. People tell on themselves. They tell you what they are about. They really tell you what they are about. So you have to come to the conclusion that you're going to listen. See, when you're getting to know somebody, you should do more listening than you do speaking. Because a lot of times, especially like when I get to know someone and they ask me some stuff like, well, what are you looking for in a relationship? My response is, I'm not necessarily looking for anything, but I know what I like. Does that make sense? I know what I like. I know what I'm compatible with. I know the types of activities that I like to engage in. So I'm not necessarily looking for anything, but when and if it comes, it's just like, that's compatible with me. Like, I don't drink, I don't smoke. So a person who drinks or smokes is not going to be compatible with me in a relationship. Unless they just respect that and don't try to, but that's rare. If somebody's drinking and smoking, they want their significant other typically drinks or smokes or engages in similar types of behavior. So you got to ask yourself, am I compatible with that? And if you find yourself incompatible on a lot of levels, then it might be time for you to let it go. And it's okay to let relationships go. I know it hurts sometimes. Oh my gosh, I don't want to let it go. I don't want to let it go. But sometimes when you let things go, a whole new world opens up. A whole new world of people, a whole new world of opportunities, a whole new world of situations. Like, a whole new world just opens. And sometimes it could be because of who you were with. It's just, I don't know. I'm a firm believer in this, and I'm just going to show you what I believe. Like, I'm a Christian, and I believe that God will bless me. But I believe also that God can withhold blessings because of who I'm around. So, I mean, I've seen him do that in the Bible. Like, there was a gentleman who was in the camp, I think after Israel won after a fight or a war, and God told Israel to destroy everything, but one of the men took some of the items from the country that they had destroyed or won against, and they brought a curse on the camp. I believe that to be true. You can be around people who can bring a curse on your camp. They can bring a curse on your camp. They may have a whole nother, God may want to shower you with blessings, bring you into a next level, but you are holding on to an individual who's kind of iffy about God. They're kind of around you just to see how it's going to go with you. You know, they're kind of opportunistic, so they're just trying to hang around to see if you really gonna blow. You have to get enough fortitude to say, you know what, I'm not gonna let that govern whether I stick around or not. I can't let that govern whether I stick around or not. I can't. I have to go on and do what's best for me. And sometimes, a lot of times, what's best for you is to leave. To leave. I'm not saying be mean to the person. I'm not saying be negative, but you have to go. You have to leave. That person's energy should no longer be mixing with your energy. Your energy should no longer be mixing with that individual's energy. And granted, sometimes it's hard. It's very hard sometimes. I agree. It is hard. It's hard. But me personally, I get over relationships pretty quickly. Especially when I pray and ask God to help me get over the relationship pretty quickly. He's so gracious that he will allow me to get over the relationship pretty quickly. And it's not like that I don't, love the individual or care for the individual, but it's just that I recognize that being in a relationship with that individual is not God's highest and best for me. And that's okay. They may be God's highest and best for somebody else. They're just not God's highest and best for me. Does that make sense? So those are a few reasons why I think you should let a relationship go. You should just kind of just go your way and let that other individual go their way. If your mind is in danger, your heart is in danger, your body's in danger, your property is in danger, you definitely should let that go. If the respect level is not there, you definitely should let that go. If it's too many arguments, everybody gets into arguments, but when it's just excessive, there's a problem. There's something there that's going on that needs to be revisited. So I hope I've helped someone shed some light on whether you should stay or go. But whatever you do, just pray. Pray and ask God to help you in your situation, because he definitely will. And as always, this has been your girl Tanisha, giving you a big hug from afar. And until next time, bye.